Hello friends, welcome to another episode of my YouTube channel. In this video I will show you guys how to make an English waistband, how to fix it, how to apply it. So stick to the video. So now I've already cut out my band, the pieces I'm going to be using for my waistband. So now I've cut out my cluster. I'm using a cluster for this because it gives me the best result. So I cut it around 1/4 of an inch wide. So now I'm just going to make sure I press this very well and leaving half inch for your sewing allowance at the down. That is very important. So I'm going to press this with a hot iron, and when you're pressing your ST, make sure that it gums very well, because when it gums well it will give you a better result. So now I'm just going to keep on pressing it. You can see the way I'm making sure all the gums stick to the cloth. So after doing that, I'm going to fold the allowance at the top. You can see what I'm doing. I'm going to fold it at the top. Then after doing this, I'm going to press it outside. Now when you're pressing it outside, make sure you cover a piece of cloth. You can see this is very important when you're making your waistband. So I'm going to iron the other band also. So I'm done ironing the two bands. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is cutting out my belt loop. I've already sewed it out, so you're just going to sew it around half of an inch wide. So now for the length of my loop, belt loop, I'm cutting it 4 inches. So I'm going to cut 6 pieces of this. You can see I'm going to cut 6 pieces of my belt loop, because 3 at the right side and 3 at the left side, making 6 pieces all together. Now I'm done cutting my loop. So the next thing I'll be doing is marking where my belt loop will be and the width of my waists. So now I'm going to place the trouser like this. You can see I'm already done with the trouser. I paused the how to do the pocket, the front pocket of this trouser. So I'm going to divide my waist by 2. Now my waist is 33, so 33 divided by 2, that will give me around 16.5. So I'm going to mark my 16.5. You can see I'm going to mark my 16.5 inches. Then I will mark 2 inches inward for my first loop at the back. Then I'm going to trace from where my pocket edge is at this point. You can see I'm pointing it. I'm going to trace it up, then mark a point there. Then at this point I'm going to mark 3 inches inward. You can see I'm done with the mark of the right side, so I'm going to do the same on the left side. I'm going to measure the width of my pockets. Remember I said 33, so 30 divided by 2, that will give me 16.5. I'm going to mark my 16.5. I'll come in by 2 inches. So now at this point, I remember I said you should trace the edge of your pocket, then mark that point. At this point I'm going to mark 3 inches. So now I'm going to fix my band and install my belt loop. Some people call it belt holder, but you can call it belt loop, you can call it belt holder, but is this piece of this long piece of something that will be adding to it. Now when I'm sewing this, I'm going to apply my belt loop at the point I marked for my belt loop. The first place I come in by 2 inches, I'm going to put the first belt loop there. Now at the pocket edge side, I mark a point for my belt loop there. I'm going to fix it also. And make sure you don't sew on the cloth stay. This is very important. Don't sew on the cloth stay, so you'll get a good finishing at the outside. So I'm going to do the same at the third part. I'm going to apply my belt loop, then stitch it. Okay. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like this video, comment, let me know what you think about this video. So now I'm done stitching this. the right side of my trouser band. You can see. So after doing this, I'm going to stitch my belt loop. Just hold it about half inch from the joining, that the place I just stitch, about half inch downward. I'm going to stitch all my belt loop. I'm going to do the same all through the belt loops. In all the belt loop, I'm going to stitch about half inch downwards. Make sure you follow this process when you're making your trouser. This is very important. This will make your work look neat and nice, the way you would like it, and the way your clients also would like it. So my thread was cutting at this point. I didn't know actually, but I fixed it later on in the video. But that is helping me though. So now I'm going to do it as the third belt loop. Remember I said you can call this a belt holder or a belt loop, but those are the names that is given. So now I'm going to cut those excesses. I'm done with this first part. The main thing for this first part is just to add my waistband and my facing, flap facing. So I'm going to do the same at this point. So at this point I'm going to trace where that band will continue at the other side. So now after marking it, I'm going to stitch my other part of the band. So I'm going to continue stitching at this place. First I stitch at this point. Like the other part, you're just going to stitch it, then apply all your belt loops and follow the process. I'm going to show you guys in this part too, if you didn't catch it at the first place. So now you're going to stitch it. You see I've already applied the first belt loop. Now I'm just going to continue stitching it down. So now I'm applying my second belt loop. The place I mark at the edge of my pocket up of my back pocket. I traced it up to get that point. Now this third point is where I marked 2 inches away from my waist, the width of my waist. I have a video on how to cut a trouser, so I'll leave the description in this video. I'll leave the link in this video. That was my first video actually, but there is still knowledge in that, so you have to check that video out. So now I'm going to stitch it half inch. Like I said in the other part, I'm going to stitch it half inches. So I'm done stitching all those parts. So now I'm going to stitch where my so I'm using a button for that place, so I'm going to stitch like a button holder. Is the remaining part of the loop, belt loop I used to do this. I'm going to fold it like this, like in a triangular form, then stitch it at this point. You can see the way I folded it. I'm going to stop stitch it at the edge also. So now I'm going to complete my flap, my trouser flap. I bias the whole trouser. I use a trouser bias for this. So I'm just going to show you guys how to apply this trouser bias on the flap. I didn't show you guys for the back pockets because I didn't do a back pocket video of this trouser, but I'm going to show you guys how to apply. It's very simple. It's a very simple process. And I also have a video on how to fix trouser back pockets, so I'm going to leave the link of how to cut the trouser and how to fix the back pockets in this video, so stay tuned. Now make sure you are cutting threads when you are sewing. This is very important because you want your work to be neat. You don't want to give your client a rough work, so make sure you are cutting thread, so thread will not be flying when they are wearing the cloth or something. Also, I'm going to release suit pattern cotton. I have a suit pattern cotton which I want to share with you guys, so that will be my next video on how to cut suit. I'm just going to show you guys on a pattern paper how to cut suit jacket, so just stay in touch. You can see I'm releasing amazing videos on my channel, so you guys should stay tuned. Now I apply this I fixing my placket inside the bias, then top stitch the bias. You can see the way I'm putting it in and top stitching it. So now at this point you are going to close. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I was talking too much. I've already fixing my button holder. You can see I'm fixing my button holder. You can see that point. So now I've stitched this my trouser bias. So now I'm just going to fold this point like this. I'm going to stitch it at the up. Now make sure you do not touch. Make sure the place you fold it, make sure it's aligning with each other. Then you're going to stitch it. The crease, you can see a crease where I folded from at my band at the up. So you are going to make sure they fold even after you have folded this placket. Make sure it's aligned together. Then you're going to, when you are stitching, you're going to curve it a little bit. You can see the way I shifted my hand. So you're going to follow that process. And if you didn't get this, make sure you watch this video again so you get the whole message. So you can see I'm almost done with my band, my trouser waistband. So now I'm just going to press this really well. Okay, you can see, look at the band. I'm not done with it, but it's already coming out. So now I'm just going to press this. So after I'm done pressing it, I've already folded my flap facing. I'm using a lining for this flap facing. You can see the way I folded it, and I made this about 3.5 inches wide to be about half inch wider than the width of your flap. I'm going to stitch it. Mind you, don't stitch it at you're going to stitch above the folded part of your band, and make sure, you can see I'm checking it under if it did not pass the folded part of my band. I'm going to stitch it down also. So on this point, I'm just going to curve my hand following the curve of the placket. Sorry, the flap. Now I'm just going to stitch it down. So do well to cut all these excesses to make your work neater and splendid. So now the next thing I'll be doing is applying my waistband. So this is the waistband I'm going to be using for this trouser. So now I'm going to stitch this about 1/4 of an inch from where I folded, about 1/4 of an inch. So I will make sure I maintain that 1/4 of an inch all through. Now when you are stitching your band, you're going to push in the waistband you are stitching now, your English waistband you are stitching now, as though you want to create a pleat. You can see the way I'm pushing it in, but you are not creating a pleat. This is to make sure when you are stitching the band, the inner waistband is not smaller than the outside one. You can see the way I'm trying to gather it as if I'm creating a gathers, but it's not creating a gathers. This will make your work easier when you are top stitching it. So I'm done stitching this. Now I'm going to do it at the other parts. Now I will turn this my lining now because I'm done stitching this. You can see this is the result of the first waistband. I'm almost done with this, so I'm going to do the same at the other part of this waistband. Now mind that edge wasn't so well, so I had to top stitch it. I had to correct that place. Make sure you are checking all this. This is very important when you are sewing. Don't just do a straight sewing, fast work sewing that you do not cross check what you are doing. So now I'm going to do the same at this second part. I'm going to add the waistband. Then I top stitch it at this point. You can see I'm going to top stitch it around. I'm going to do the same at this point rather. So remember I say you're going to leave 1/4 of an inch from where you are folded. Sorry, I was distracted a little bit. So you're going to leave 1/4 of an inch. Now try to create that gathers. It's not a gathers, but you are just trying to fix in some amount of this band into the actual cloth. So as though you are making a large sum to fit in a small area. So but make sure this doesn't create a gather, so to make your work neat. But it's as though you are making a gather, but it's not actually a gather. Just like making a suit sleeve, fixing the suit cap. So now I'm done with this. So I'm going to press this. You can see the design of the back pocket, the bias, making the back pocket looking unique. So now I'm going to press this with my iron. I'm going to make sure I press this very well. Give this a good press. Do this at the both side of the band. So guys, if you have watched to this point, now will be the nice time and good time to subscribe to this channel, comment, share this video, and hit the notification button. Let me know what you think about this video. So now I'm going to press this video. So what am I saying? I'm going to press it at the top and hit it with my pressing wood or collar, whatever you call it. So I'm going to press the other part also. Make sure you give this a good press. It's just important that you give it a good press. That's all, to make your work neater. If you do not give your clothes a good press, your work will not be as neat as it ought to be. So do the same as you did the first band at this other side. Make sure you press it very well. I'm just showing you guys the whole process of the pressing, so because this is very important. So I'm done pressing this, and you can see, look at the way the band aligned with each other at the zipper side. Remember when I marked that point? That is very important. So now after doing this, you are going to press your flap area. So now I'm done pressing this. Now the next thing is to stitch it. So I'm just going to join the back of my trouser. Remember, I've already measured the width of my band, so I'm going to follow the place I marked. Make sure the band is aligned. I rechalked it to give me a good result, so I can see where I'm sewing. So I'm going to stitch this at this point. Then you can see the way I'm following the stitches of the back of my trouser. So remember, I said I'm leaving a description on this video. I'm leaving a link in the description box, so you know how I cut trousers. So you are going to follow the process on fixing this band. So because if you use another pattern when sewing this, you might not give you this result. So you're going to follow the pattern, and when you get to this band, you won't be confused when sewing it. So now I'm going to stitch it again at this point, stop stitches, to make sure the back is, the stitches is tight, so it doesn't lose. So now I'm going to close it. So now at this point, when you get to a point here, you're going to divert your hand a little bit, about 1/4 of an inch. You can see the way I'm pointing the diversion. So I'm done stitching this. Now I'm just going to fold these two parts. You can see, fold it so it doesn't come out, so my work will be neat and nice. So now I'm done stitching that part. So now I'm just going to top stitch my band to hold the English wristband and that of the actual trouser band together. Now when stitching this, make sure you create like a blind stitch which is not going to be that visible, even though it's visible, that's visible, which is not going to be that visible. You can see. Make sure so it's in between the joining. This will make the sewing line not visible. So I'm going to stitch this around the band. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate comments in the comment section below, and like this video. So now the next thing, I'm going to be stitching my flap. So now the width of my stitches from the edge of my flap is around 1/4 of an inch. Make sure it doesn't surpass 1/4. If it's from 1.5 above, it will be too wide. Some people don't manage 1.5, but I make my 1/4 so it will just be clean and simple. Some people do 2 inches too. Don't do 2 inches for this stitching. This is very important. This is a very vital part of this trouser. Now you should make sure it's 1/4, like I said. Don't let it surpass 1/4. I'm going to put my trouser then curve it, give it a nice curve. You can see the way I curve it. So I'm almost done with this trouser. Now I will just sew my belt loop and everything. That is just the final part of this trouser waistband. I'm going to sew my belt loop. So before I sew my belt loop, I'm going to close this facing at this point. You can see the way I place it, then stitch it at the allowance inside, then top stitch it at that of the lining facing. You can see where I'm stitching it. Make sure you don't stitch the actual parts of the clothes, so you don't make an error at the outside part of this trouser. You can see the next thing you'll be doing is folding your belt loop. So I'm just going to top stitch it, and this depends on the width of the kind of belt you are using actually. So it's really good to communicate with your client the kind of belt they are using when doing this. So you're going to top stitch it around, top stitch all the belt loop around the trouser, and that's it. That's the final part of this trouser. So now this is the final belt loop. Okay, this is the final belt loop, so you are just going to stitch the last one, and that's it. So now I'm going to give this trouser a good press. I'm going to give it a good press. So now this is the result. You can see the inside. Look at how neat it is. So thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, comment, let me know what you think about this video, hit the notification button and like this video. So please stay tuned, and I'm going to be releasing more videos. So goodbye for now.